Good afternoon and welcome to another Warrior Creed live stream with me, the radical Majid Nawaz. And today's topic, as should be on your screens right about now, why was Anne Widdecombe MP, the former government minister and the most recently Reform Party immigration spokesperson, why was Anne Widdecombe MP's suspected terrorism murder covered up? Yes, that is the topic today. Here is a photo of the lady in question. This is the now deceased former government minister, Anne Widdecombe, 1947 to 2026. Anne Widdecombe, as many of you will by now be aware, was very tragically murdered. At home, she was bludgeoned to death by what now appears to be a suspected terror attack. And Widdecombe appears to have been targeted in her home by somebody for the specific purposes of killing her, not as it was initially claimed, a burglary gone wrong, but rather a targeted murder, which was also premeditated and, as has subsequently been revealed, is now being investigated as a terror offense. The one political leader to call this all out was her own party leader in the Reform Party, Nigel Farage, who, despite the protestations of those speaking on behalf of the British state, called out this murder as incredibly suspicious and, in his words, premeditated, of which he stated that he was 100% certain. Nigel Farage, as you can imagine, was roundly criticised for expressing his view that this was a targeted attack, while the British state and its various apparatchiks sought to push out the narrative that there was nothing suspicious at all initially in Anne Widdecombe's death, and then afterwards saying that, okay, yes, it was a murder, but not a terrorism act of terrorism. Subsequently, it turned out it was indeed the worst case possible scenario, and now the British counter-terror police are investigating this murder as a suspected act of terrorism. So the title, once again, on your screens: why was Anne Widdecombe's suspected terrorism murder covered up? We are going to, over the course of this live stream, go into the details and the background to this case, provide examples for some of how some of the apparatchiks speaking on behalf of the British establishment sought to downplay the initial news of Anne Widdecombe's death, Nigel Farage, her party leader's subsequent struggle to try and keep the story alive as a possible terrorism offense, and the criticism he faced for attempting to do so. And then we'll provide some of our own analysis as to what really could have gone on here. Why indeed was Anne Widdecombe targeted and murdered by a suspected terrorist? All of that is coming up here for the Warrior Creed live stream. We are just going to play you the opening credits, then come back to you and get straight to the stream. The podcast version of this stream, as always, can be found if you go to Radical Media, the home of Radical Media, the URL for which is scrolling below on the screen there, majidnawaz.substack.com. Radical Media sits there on that website. If you subscribe, you get the Radical Dispatch, which is the free weekly newsletter. But premium subscribers, those who pay for a premium subscription, also get the behind the paywall content, advanced live event tickets, and of course some of our more long-term members, such as our founding members and yearly memberships, will also be offered not only discounted tickets to events, but in many instances free events and free invitations to attend as well. And of course, premium subscribers also get the podcast version of this stream. That's all on Radical Media, majidnawaz.substack.com. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back with the Warrior Creed live stream. Why was Anne Widdecombe's targeted? Why was Anne Widdecombe and her suspected terrorism murder covered up? She appears to have been targeted and murdered. Why was the British state seeking to downplay that news?